Why is the world as it is? Why is it hard to understand the world where it is now and the trajectory of where it is going? When there is so much going on in this world, why is it that the subject that has these answers is questioned about whether it is worth being a core lesson in students' education? In history, we teach the students what has happened in our past, which has led us to where we are today. We answer questions such as, what has caused the Black Lives Matter movement? Why does North Korea always make the news testing missiles? Why are people in Australia divided upon celebrating Australia Day on the 26th of January? Along with telling the story and history of Australia and the world, we answer these questions in a bid to have the world make a bit more sense to the students. Our aim is not only to teach the past and where we have come from, but to answer the questions of where we are and where we are heading. Some may call this projected trajectory or predicted trajectory, but in history it is more teaching the students to analyse the data in front of them and be able to think and understand why things are the way they are. This may sound a bit over the top and a far-fetched for the teaching of history, but allow me to further explain by showing you an example of what we teach and how we teach it very quickly. So World War II. This is one of our Year 10 curriculum, and in this unit we use a lot of maps, images, documentaries and actual artefacts as well. Here we have the hat badge of the Soviet Union. So this was worn on the hats of many Red Army soldiers. We have an Australian World War II soldier's pocketbook full of Morse code, translation into Turkish, as well as the Geneva Convention codes and the laws and rules of war. And also we have a field telephone. Now this was also used by the Australians as well. But one thing we also have here is a Nazi soldier badge. Here, students can hold, see and feel history. These artefacts allow the content to become more real, rather than just a concept. When these are mixed with the photos and documentaries they will be viewing, the students will gain a more personal connection with the content and provide them with context. These will provide the students a museum in the classroom. However, there are always some things, artefacts and other materials that are practically impossible for a teacher to have in their collection. So this is where some online resources are needed. Let me show you through some that are related in this topic. Our first digital product is a World War II interactive map. Now this map is spread across a timeline going from the start of World War II to the end of World War II and also into the Cold War. This map and timeline allows students to see the territorial gains and losses of both the Axis and the Allies, while also giving them pinpoint accuracy of where events are being held. This timeline allows students to see the development of the war and the conflict. This new product utilizes VR technology. VR technology is rising in popularity, especially with kids and teenagers in the gaming industry. This product was developed by the Australian War Memorial Museum. What they have done is they have utilized this technology, which enables students and anyone else to go through their museum and exhibit and witness what they have on display. What this does is this allows students to go through their museum without having to leave the classroom. This next product was also developed by the Australian War Memorial Museum. What they have done is they have grabbed some of their artifacts and have created 3D model images which can be looked at digitally. What we have here is the Australian Mark II steel helmet that was worn by Private J.H. Smith. What we can even see on this helmet by the fine art detail is the entry point of a bullet as well as its access point. This allows students to really see and handle artifacts much like what we were able to do with the field telephone and the pocketbook, but this of course will be digitally. This next digital product was developed by Google, or more specifically Google Earth. What they have done is they have gathered
scuba divers to actually take footage and videos, as long as photos as well, of actual sunken battleships and landing crafts, as well as some submarines of those that were sunk in World War II. There are 8 in total, and what these do is these allow students to see some of the wreckage and what they look like now that have been sunken on the ocean floor without having to leave their classroom. This next product was developed by Bombsite, and what they have done is they have gathered the information from the World War II bomb sensors of all those that were dropped on London during the Blitz. And what this does is this allows students to see the end result and devastation that these bombs cost, while also seeing how much were actually dropped on London. This first image shows a zoomed in photo of one section of London, while this next one here shows an outward focus where we can see the full effect of the bombs dropped on London.
By going through these online products and seeing the maps and history behind what everything means, you cannot help but have an emotional connection with what has been taught. When we combine these with the content and context of the lesson, you begin to gain an understanding and realization as to why remembering this event in world history is so important. And once we finish this unit, we travel straight into the Cold War, which will show students how the outcomes of the war of World War II affected this next period the world is travelling into. This explains to students why North Korea keeps making the news and why it is such a mysterious place that we do not know a lot about. This same conflict between communism and capitalism, right versus left, continues throughout the Cold War period and explains to the students why we, as Australians, fought in the Korean and Vietnam War. All of a sudden, this is starting to unravel and the students are starting to understand why the world has become what it is today. For some students, these events and the results of the past become real as we make the connection between past and present. This, of course, happens as well throughout the rest of our other grades and their historical journey. Let's have a look at some of the other resources and online products that we use to help build the understanding of the students in other grades.
In grade 8, students undergo a medieval unit. What we have here is one of our digital products that we use. This is an interactive look through, like a tour guide of the Goodrich Castle. This allows students to see certain aspects of medieval castles like the keep, the gatehouse and the chapel, just to name a few. Sticking with our grade 8 medieval theme, this next digital product allows students to create their own coat of arms. Some families have their own, but this allows them to go on a more personalized journey on what they've learned about coat of arms in the patterns and the symbols and what they all mean, allowing them to create their own personal style. The last of our digital products that are sticking with the grade 8 theme of medieval unit study is this that was created by the British Museum. This is their Sutton Hoo exhibit, which they've developed like a street view of Google Maps. Here students are able to walk through the exhibit online and witness all the artefacts and treasures that were found at the Sutton Hoo dig site. Moving now into exploring the ancient past. This is a unit that is taught to our grade 7s. One of the products here we use is developed by the Scotland Museum. What they have done is they have taken images of some of their ancient Egypt artefacts. This will allow students to get a close-up view of these artefacts, much like the ones that we have with our World War II for grade 10s, but of course these ones are explored on the computer. This last digital product is again for our grade 7s in exploring the ancient past. What we have here is an interactive map of the Roman Empire. This map allows students to zoom in and see some of the finite towns and cities of the empire, while also being able to zoom out and seeing the whole empire in its grandeur. This allows students to get an overview and big picture of the Roman Empire in both its fullness and its smallness.
These 10 products do more than just modernise the classroom experience. What it does is activate the student in the learning content. It entices the students to be active in their learning and present in their education. What these products do is present the textbook content into a real situation where the students are active in their learning and experience. These products make the content real to them. Much as these artifacts are still in front of me, these digital products allow the students to handle the content and history digitally speaking. This is the importance of teaching history with a hands-on experience, whether that be physical or digitally. Otherwise, students will be only able to engage with the content through their imagination and picturing the material in their heads. Here, with these products, we're able to see it and understand it in a somewhat physical manner. This is how we engage and teach a subject which helps explain the world we live in through physical content and not mental imagery.